Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 63 of Those Muckrakers. I'm Pete.
And I'm Pat.
And, man, I don't know why. I don't feel high energy today.
I mean, I feel higher energy than I was last week, but that's not a very high bar to set, yeah?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you who does feel high energy. Let's jump right into it.
Okay.
And you're going to love this. So, many times we've talked about how the rich are boring.
Yes.
Well, there's a news story about a millionaire wants to stage a real-life battle royale on a private island.
Oh, God, I did hear about that. Yeah, my very first impression was, yeah, okay, I'm for that if everyone's consenting to it. But then, the more I thought about it, the more I realized, oh, the rich are literally telling people, kill yourself for my amusement while I eat grapes.
I'd be fine with this. I actually am like, finally, someone's putting their money to good use. And I got super excited. Apparently, it's by this group called Hush Hush, a London-based luxury shopping marketplace and shopping concierge service that sells essential items like bottled Everest oxygen and crystal-encrusted vacuum cleaners.
What?
Yeah. So, it's a.
I mean, talk about. God damn it. Okay, continue.
Well, I was super excited, and then I was like, "Oh, it's lame." Apparently,
it is. No, they're not actually going to have people kill each other for their amusement, like in God, what's that movie called? Hostel. Hostel is all about people being sold to other people to just be maimed however they feel like. I was sort of thinking, it's kind of like a hostile situation, except without the kidnapping, maybe. Maybe.
No, they're just going to be provided with airsoft guns and ammo and touch-sensitive body armor for the 3-day event, and there's like a 100,000-pound prize. It's just like, oh, come on, I was so excited, and then you guys were like, but it's not going to be with real guns, it's going to be with Nerf guns.
Well, maybe someone will lose an eye. If it really was all to the death, then I'm almost certain that in years to come we'd be hearing about how some of the contestants were coerced, some of them were kidnapped, some of them were there without their consent. And I'm like, that's just going to get seedier and seedier as we go down. Never mind 299 deaths per round. Like, that's going to be atrocious. But if everyone's agreeing to it, then maybe it could be, maybe it could be okay in theory. I mean, the 14-year-old in me is like, yeah, do it. Put him in a body bag, Johnny. But I don't know. The more compassionate side of me is, that's fucked. Just have everyone kill each other. But you know what? I'm going back to the 14-year-old side of me now that you're like, it's all airsoft guns. I'm like, yeah, no, that's lame. Just have them shoot each other.
Well, speaking of possibility of losing an eye, the news this week gets worse. Doctors discovered 4 live bees feeding on tears inside a woman's eye.
Inside?
Yeah.
What?
When a young Taiwanese woman named He took herself to a hospital this week complaining of a swollen eye, she expected to be treated for an eye infection. Instead, they discovered 4 live bees living under her eyelids, feasting.
I didn't want to hear this story.
Feasting on her tears.
God, it's like my old teacher, Geierman, feeding on the tears of others.
I guess they were these really tiny bees called sweat bees, but still, like, you got bees.
I don't care. It's fucking bees in the eyeball. I don't need to know that this is a thing that can exist.
You got eye bees.
It's like the first time you really find out about bed bugs, and you're like, that's a thing that can happen. Like, I don't know. Whenever you're a kid, it's like it's cute. The idea, don't let the bed bugs bite, and then you grow up and you find out, it's just awful. It's these things chewing on you in your sleep. And
well, it's gotten really bad in New York. Like there was a bed bug resurgence because I guess while we thought they were cute, bed bugs have been making plans to become immune to like pesticides.
Good.
So it's kind of funny in New York. I worked at a place where I think a girl was fired for having bed bugs.
Huh. Because she just brings them to work with her?
Well, they come in on your clothes and stuff. They don't just stay in your bed.
I know.
But that's what's fun about New York is anytime anybody's suspected of being bed bugs, it's like they're marked. Everyone's like, you're dead to me now.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of New York and outbreaks, aren't there, mandatory measles shots going out right now?
Yeah, because a bunch of, ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities don't believe in vaccinations, I guess, and so all their kids are getting measles, which then give other kids measles.
Oh. Which could give, shingles to adults.
Yeah, or it
right?
could just give fucking measles to somebody. Say, like, you have somebody that's immune compromised that can't do the vaccinations. Yeah, they'll just die.
Right.
Speaking of people
So yeah, I
dying,
mean the
you like.
people that there are instances where people just can't be vaccinated, and in those cases they rely on herd immunities to keep them safe, to keep them protected. But if everyone's not immuning everyone, or if tons of people aren't doing that, then it becomes a problem.
all I
So
can
that's sort of what the anti-vaxxers are doing right
all I
now.
can think of is this is America. Germs in my area. I got the cough.
Bed bugs in my area.
Fucking assholes. Speaking of assholes, well, I guess that's probably a bad segue. This was a news story that kind of made me go, really? A gay man was sentenced to die because jurors thought he'd enjoy men's prison too much.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was from like several months ago.
Yeah, in South Dakota, Charles Ryan sits on death row as he has for 25 years after he was convicted of murder. Now there are significant concerns that the jury chose to sentence him because he's gay. And so, how would you know that, right? The jury deliberations are like in a separate sealed room, right?
They could talk after the fact, right?
Well, not even that. During the sentencing deliberations, the jury sent a note to the judge asking whether Mr. Rhines would be allowed to marry or have conjugal visits, or be allowed to create a group of followers or admirers, or have a cellmate should he be sentenced to life in prison.
What?
Yeah,
So
basically like, hey man, if he goes
but yeah, that's the super fucked up thing that they think. Oh well, he likes sex with the men, so he'll like to have sex with all of the men. Prison will be heaven for him, right?
Less than 8 hours later, the jury voted to impose the death penalty. It became known that some of the jurors who sentenced him to death said things like, quote, I knew that he was a homosexual and I thought he shouldn't be able to spend his life with men in prison. And I thought that if he's gay, we'd be sending him where he wants to go if we voted for life.
You know, I heard those kinds of arguments when I was in grade school, and I always thought that people were joking when they said it, right? Like that was always a tongue-in-cheek. Oh, I bet prison will be real good for gay people. I never actually thought that that was something that adults would believe was true and make literal life and death decisions based on. Like that is insane to me.
Well, those people then grew up to become adults, apparently moved to the Dakotas and sentenced a man to death. Yeah,
Probably voting for Trump.
that's fucking insane, man. Like, Jesus Christ, like he'll like it too. Like they made a joke like that on The Office, like but like to showcase how shitty people's attitudes are about gay people.
Yeah.
And then there are people that are like, "What? That's not a thing?" Fucking assholes.
It's it is what it is.
Suppose so.
The world's fucked up, and there's nothing we can do about it, folks. Nothing we can do.
Well, what we can do is we can liven it up with a little segment we like to call Dear Abby.
We're jumping straight into Dear Abby after such a depressing topic.
That's what I like to do. I like to start it out. We start low, and everyone goes, "Damn, the world sucks," and then we go, "Dear Abby," and they feel
Dear
better.
Abby. But we need like a little jingle or something to introduce this segment. Like I know that we haven't used musical cues so far because that'd be a lot of extra work for me.
Yeah.
But I'm almost willing to like put something together for Dear Abby.
Maybe we'll come up with a song after this episode.
We need like Wesley to record it. Dear Abby, I saw a bird today.
I've seen Wesley's animations, and I'm gonna say maybe not.
I love his animations, by the way. Like, there's nothing more delightful to me than seeing Smithbot or whatever it is take 8.5 minutes to move from one side of the screen to the other. It's like, this is wonderful. While like 3 different copyrighted songs play in the background.
That's the greatest part is that Wesley hasn't been caught by the copyright police yet.
No, they're actually coming down on him pretty hard. That's why you can't upload that's why we had so much trouble getting that last video he made up, because every time he put it on YouTube it was like instant copyright strike. And Wesley was surprised by that. What do you mean I can't use 17 different golden oldies?
It's fun thinking about Wesley not understanding copyright infringement because he is innocent. Like I can imagine Wesley committing a whole slew of crimes and being like, "Well, what do you mean I can't rob a bank? I needed the money." And he's not dumb. He's just innocent. He's a wonderful person. But what do you mean I can't shoot a man and use his eyeballs for soup? I was hungry.
But all I needed was a little bit of the skin. Oh.
So, yeah, let's go into this Dear Abby. I need to pick me up.
Me too.
All right.
More uppers after our downers.
This is pretty. So this one I'm going to try to do in an English accent because it feels English to me. All right. And it says,
All right, cheerio.
"Dear Abby, a child in my son's second grade class goes by the name Sir blank blank. Like they didn't give the kid's actual name, right? So we'll call him Sir Chesterfield Worthington.
Please, sir, may I have some more?
A child in my son's second grade class goes by the name Sir Chester Worthington, and if anybody leaves out Sir, he corrects them, and not very nicely. The family claims the child has been knighted, but the details become vague when asked. Abby, I did some digging around, and this child's name isn't on the official British list of knighted citizens. It's impossible to inherit the title, sir, and basically unheard of for an American 7-year-old boy to legitimately be given the title. I feel titles should be earned, such as Doctor, Captain, or Mrs., not made up to generate a sense of power over those around you. May I tell my son it's okay not to use this bogus title? Knighted second grader." Man, in a short 2 paragraphs, there's so much to unpack there.
I know. Look, I'm gonna be completely honest. At some point, I muted my mic so that I could just sit here and do impressions of the Queen, because I needed to make sure that I pegged it dead on. But this cold is still lingering and making it so hard to hit certain notes. So the best I could do is just the "Hello, I'm the Queen."
Here's my thing.
That's close enough, right? I knighted this boy. Woo! Okay, the Queen says she did it.
If you think that titles like captain and so look, if you think titles should be earned, especially by a 7-year-old, you're an asshole. 2, all of my checks say doctor, because you can just have them print doctor on your checkbook and no one you can just do it.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone by Chick-fil-A and they're like, "What's your name?" "I'm the doctor," and then I just have the doctor on my meal when it comes to me.
Yeah.
It's hell yeah, I'm a Time Lord now.
Fucking titles should be earned. Fuck you. Also, he's 7. He's a 7-year-old.
Just fucking, amuse him. Why not?
I once had a cat named Captain Schnickelfritz. Did
he own a boat, Peter? Did he crescent it with his kitty paws?
Did he run a boat? Was he in the military? What is wrong with this person? You've got to have some... You dug into it you really thought the 7-year-old got knighted? You went and looked at the thing and were like, I
love that he tried to disprove the 7-year-old. I didn't even catch that before. It's he needed hard fucking evidence to prove that that Sir... What was his name? Sir Chester Evington was not really a knight. He's like, "Oh, I have the official registry of knights, and you, sir, are not on it."
Yeah, I just imagine them shaking an old English Parliament paper at the kid and being like, "You, sir, are no knight, nor are you nobility." What the?
Please, sir, may I be Sir Chester Evington? "No, you cannot have it more."
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you? Fucking call him a knight if you want. We can all be knights. Who cares? It's a meaningless title made up by the British.
Yeah. I mean, especially nowadays. I mean, the actual people who are knighted don't have suits of armor and swords, probably. Yeah. Also, I mean, they certainly are usually people that can afford such things, but I doubt they're cool enough to have bought them. If I ever get knighted, I'm saving up to get a fucking suit of armor, though, let me tell you.
I don't even need to be knighted because I'm going to call myself Sir Peter Van Pelt right now.
Sir.
That's in light of this, dear Abby, I think we should actually change our names. I should be Sir Pete, and you should be Captain Pat.
Captain Pat. I was going to say Dr. Paddington. I like Captain Pat, though. That works.
I'm also fine with Dr. Paddington. That's fine, too. Although that you do sound a little bit like a pedo doctor.
Aww.
Oh, don't let... It's kind of like the, Chester the Molester. He's a real Dr. Paddington. Better watch those hands.
I was thinking of the Paddington Bear.
I know you were, but, watch them hands.
It's soft and fluffy, kids. Ha.
But yeah, fucking, God, whoever this is.
I don't know what Paddington Bear sounds like, so I just went with Mickey.
I don't either. But yeah, so I would be like, "I'm Sir Pete, and I'm Captain Pat."
And I'm Captain Pat. Yarr!
And we are...
Captain Pat. I need to work on my pirate then.
What was the other... and we are Dr. Muckrakers.
Blow me down, shiver me timbers, yar. Okay, I'm good. I got it.
Some people are fucking psychos.
I need to work on my parrot whistle.
If you
I
find
used to be able to do a good one, but my teeth have changed so much over the years, it's hard to do a proper parrot these days.
Well, if you find yourself as an adult arguing with a child over his imaginary title, you might be an asshole. Like, that should just be...
You might be a redneck.
That should just be like our Jeff Foxworthy introduction to comedy. We should just do like, if you've ever found yourself arguing with a child that is the same age as your child,
you sound
might
like
be
a
an
preacher,
asshole. Huh?
You sound more like a preacher than Foxworthy. Do it again.
Maybe. All right, let's go on to the next Dear Abby. This one's a little bit less ridiculous, but at the same time, and sadly, this has no name.
Proselytize!
Proselytize! And Jesus! Oh, speaking of that, short segue, I had to explain to somebody the other day, we were talking about Quakers and Shakers, and they were like, what's a Shaker? And I go, oh, you know what a Shaker is? They're a religious group that's all like, Jesus! And then they start shaking and handling snakes and, you know...
Oh, I love that. I would totally be into watching that. Or playing with the snakes, too. What's wrong with snakes?
Well, because they're handing around poisonous rattlesnakes.
You know, probably not the poisonous ones. I'll stick with the non-venomous TYVM.
Well, their whole argument is like, God will protect us, and if the snake bites you, God does not like you. And I go, man, you guys draw a hard fucking line.
Yep.
There was a story a little while ago about a guy who was a pastor of one of these churches, and the snake bit him in the fucking neck.
Right.
He was, I mean, like, the tone changed. It was like, Jesus, it's biting me! Like, I saw the photos. He lived, but there was blood everywhere, and I go, does that mean he doesn't get to be the preacher if the snake bit him?
I've been tempted by Satan's teeth! Ah!
Oh, my God.
Reminds me of, so I've been finally catching up on Penn Sunday School, which I've listened to until around the time he started doing 2 episodes a week, and it just became impossible to keep up with anymore. But I've been working on it this week, and in one of the episodes, he had a guy on that does, like, contests and prizes, and he said at one point he had, like, all these bags, and one of them had, you know, $1 million in it, and some psychics came on to get to pick which bag they wanted, and the psychic said, you know, this is going to be proof that someone out here is a witch, and they are cursing us. They curse these bags so that we would not be able to detect which one is the correct one. And he's like, yeah, okay, that's what happened then.
Sure. You know, whenever your psychic powers don't... That's, I feel like, the greatest proof that, like, if psychic powers do exist, they're either incredibly hard to obtain or they don't exist at all, because it's just like, yeah, man, like, that would be a thing that people would be like, hey!
They're probably not in the possession of douchebags that try to, you know, pick bags of money out of a lineup.
It's kind of like the way I know we're not in the Matrix, because the other day when we were talking and Wesley goes like, oh, if I hacked the Matrix, I'd make myself rich. And I was like, that's it? That's where you're like... Because if you're in the Matrix and you hack the code, fuck money. Like, do other stuff.
I mean, I would, oh my God. So the very first thing I would do is turn the entire world into, like, one giant Sonic the Hedgehog furry fanfic. So I would be Pat the Rooster, because I would just be a giant chicken and I'd go around pecking at things. And Peter, you can be a hedgehog if you'd like, or a werewolf.
Yeah, you know what I would...
Wesley's definitely going to be a bear.
You know what
so he can go hibernate. He'll be so happy in his slumber. Oh, I got to sleep now for 6 months. Oh.
If you turn the whole world into a Sonic level, I would spend the rest of my time trying to jump on your head to kill you.
I think you'd be too busy running around trying to get more rings.
Yeah, so I can kill you, because Sonic levels are terrible and no one wants to live there.
I mean, Sonic Adventure 2 is okay.
Yeah, it's a fun
one game out of like a million.
I don't have a problem with the game. I don't want to live in a Sonic level. It sounds terrible.
Oh, where you're like running to work and suddenly spikes shoot out. And yes! You're like, God damn it! I dropped all my rings.
Yes, exactly. Like, you imagine walking down the sidewalk and then spikes pop out and, like, you drop your wallet and all your money goes everywhere.
It's the end of the month and your boss is like, well, Peter the Hedgehog, you've worked very, very hard this month. So I... boss the chipmunk hand you your paycheck, and you're like, yes, and you turn around and there's like a little rolling red bug that's a robot and covered in spikes, and it goes bing, and you're like, ah,
yeah,
and your money just goes everywhere, and it's like, God damn it, boss, I need another paycheck next month, Peter.
I guess in real life what those spikes would be...
forgot to hit the checkpoint halfway to work, now I gotta start over from my house again.
I guess in real life those would just be called payday lenders. All right,
Yep.
so let's do this, Dear Abby. It says, Dear Abby, my son's open marriage leaves his parents in shock. Dear
Okay.
Abby, I am extremely upset. My son got married a year ago, and we were very happy, and have
Fuck,
welcomed.
I could have been Captain Pat the Rooster. Anyway, continue.
We have welcomed his wife into our family. He met us for lunch yesterday and announced that he and his wife have a polyamorous relationship. They will stay married, but both of them will date and have long-term relationships with other people. So, hold on. I'm going to pause right there for a second. For those of you who don't know about polyamory, I have issues with it in that I don't like that people are like it's a cool new thing. Like, polyamory's always existed. I guess it's becoming more mainstream. Whatever you want to do in your marriage is fine. If you want to have your primary person and then date other people but stay married, sure, why not, right?
As long as you both agree on it. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's like I'm cool with it. You're cool with it. Cool.
Polyamory.
Now, I personally am not polyamorous, but I would have no problem with anyone else being polyamorous. That's their choice.
I can't. I can barely maintain one relationship. There's no way I'm gonna get that second ball up in the air for this juggling match. You know what I mean? It'd be like, man, I'm really bad at driving one car. Have you tried driving two? Nope. It's gonna be a bloodbath. So she says,
I guess one would have to be from London and the other or one from England, one from America. That way you can reach both the steering wheels and just sort of be between them.
And that's my dating philosophy.
Yep. But continue.
My husband and I are in shock. We have been married for more than 30 years and have always been faithful to each other. We thought that we had set a good example. They're
still being faithful to each other. They're not cheating if they're both okay with it.
Yeah, exactly. They are asking to be able to bring other boyfriends and girlfriends to our family events. I am heartsick at the thought of watching them be affectionate with other partners. My granddaughter was a flower girl at their wedding. How do we explain this to her? I love my son, but does a relationship with him mean I have to abandon the values I have always felt were important to uphold?
I hate it when people say, I don't want to talk to my children or grandchildren. Don't make me talk to them. That's never an excuse. How do I explain it? I don't want to talk to them. Have you seen them? They're ugly and stupid. I can't explain this. My son keeps saying he's Sir Wellington. Oh, how am I supposed to explain a mommy sometimes loves a daddy and another daddy?
Well, right now he isn't speaking to me because he thinks I was not supportive enough when he told me. I feel like I'm being forced to accept his new lifestyle or not see my son. How should I handle this? Dumbfounded in Dallas.
Okay, a few things. One, he shouldn't stop talking to her just because she's being stubborn. Like, I have a mom that's a hardcore Trump supporter. I don't stop talking to her. I just be the bigger person and continue to speak to her despite I just sort of compartmentalize all the bad and try to forget about that and just sort of focus on the positives, right?
Well,
so everyone should be able to do that. If you disagree with someone, even on something very big, even if you feel like they are enabling evil, it's like, well, but besides that, they're still your family. You still got to communicate with them.
Well, two things. Number one, you do not have to communicate with your family. I decided a long time ago that just because someone shares the same DNA with you does not mean that you are beholden to love them eternally, communicate with them.
I didn't say love. I said talk to.
Or talk to, or in any way interact. That is not, you do not have to, you don't have to. Two, I do like this one part that Abby says where she says, unless you are raising your granddaughter, you don't have to explain anything. That's her parents' responsibility. Because I see this a lot. There's a lot of, old people how do I explain this to my grandkid? It's like, well, if you're not raising them, then you don't explain shit because they're not your fucking kids. So shut the fuck up. You raised your kid, you're done. You can have input.
You know what?
But
I didn't even think about that. How am I supposed to explain it to my granddaughter? Yeah, but the word grand is there, right? You don't have to.
Yeah, that's it.
Let someone else deal with it.
You're part-time.
As the grandmother, all you do is feed them cake and send them home hyper. And
you're fucking
ready to fuck up your children's homes that they put so much work into.
You're fucking retired. But yeah, so this is an interesting thing, and as much as I want to shit on Dumbfounded in Dallas, I understand how difficult it must be if you have a specific set of values, and then you have to find a middle ground with going, those are not my values, but I still have a relationship with the person who has a different value system.
Yeah.
And I think maybe just to have a conversation with your son.
She also needs to understand that her son is not cheating on his wife. That this is still, everything here is still consensual, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
That needs to be something she understands. But outside of that, I mean, they can deal with this however they want to deal with it. I think that Maybe she needs to do some soul searching to decide how she really feels about this. Maybe wait until the shock of it all wears off for her, since she's clearly like surprised by this.
I mean, I think maybe, like maybe give it time before you bring your other partners to family events, because I can see how that would
That
be.
too, yeah. Like the son also needs to understand that his mom probably can't just accept this out the gate.
Right.
I can see that and be like, look, you're gonna have to work with her just like you expect her to work with you.
Yeah, I could see, like, because this ties into so many other things. Because there are people in these same situations where they're just like, my son, he married a black man and he wants to bring him to family events, and I don't support that lifestyle. And it's like, well,
that just reminds me of the Family Guy. Marty, we gotta go back to the future. Your daughter's gonna marry a black man. I'm actually okay with that, Grandpa.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually okay with that, Doc Brown. Whatever he was to Marty.
Yeah. I think you should, if you love somebody, you should accept just like that's their value system. Work out the particulars, because I'm sure this lady's the tip of the family iceberg. And at a family event, it's gonna be weird, like with the having to explain that to the other family members. So I guess work that out with your son, like, but also support him and realize it's his fucking marriage and do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah. Yeah, just be happy for him that he's able to do what he wants and that he's not bound by someone else's artificial rules.
But yeah, like I said, personally, polyamory is not my taste.
Right.
But at the same time, like, unless the only way I wouldn't support it would be if somebody that I was dating was like, "Well, I am polyamorous," and I'd be like, "Well, that's going to be a problem."
Right. I mean, they can still be polyamorous, but just not have multiple partners while you're dating. Like, it's like, look, you want to be polyamorous? That's fine. You can still be that in your heart, but just like, let's not fuck other people while we're seeing each other. And if we break up, you can do whatever. But if you want to stay together, like, you don't have my consent to just go off and bone whoever.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. Yeah, like, fucking, there's so many of those, and that's the problem with like the value system saying is like, how do I cleave to my traditional values while things are changing? And it's like, I have a moral code that I try my best to live by, and the rest of the world doesn't necessarily share it, and that's fine. Like, I do the best I can with me.
Yeah, that's the way Sir Peterton feels about this.
It's not Sir Peterton, it's Sir Pete and Captain Pat.
Sir Pete, right.
Yeah, I'm going to correct you every time because I have been knighted. And you're like, your name's not officially on the roll, and I'm like, fuck you.
I have been knighted, sir. I hate it whenever I try to do accent and my arms are crossed. It like fucks with my lungs.
Are you ready?
I have been knighted, sir.
Are you ready to go into the big news today, talking about value systems?
It's the big news. All right, what's our big news story of the day, Pete?
All right, a little bit of background information. If you remember previously in Catholicism.
Previously on those Muckrakers.
And I get this confused too. All right, so previously in Catholicism, the Pope Benedict, the whatever the hell, what's XVI? What number is that?
X is 10, V 16.
Okay, so
XVI
Pope 16.
Is 16.
We're on Pope 17
Benedict
right now,
16th.
right? Yes. Okay. So.
The current one has like a different name. He's like Pope Randolph. I don't remember.
Oh my God! You're killing me with this. This is
killing Miss Mouse.
I don't know why this is so confusing to everybody I've talked to. Okay, right now there are two living popes. One is the retired Pope, Pope Benedict. The other is the current Pope, Pope Francis. Pope Francis is cool Pope.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, Francis. I knew he had a different name than Benedict. I thought you said Benedict the 17th.
Because there are two popes. I'm trying to tell a story of two popes. You son of a bitch. I swear to God, if this happens when I like try to explain A Tale of Two Cities to people, they're like, well, wait a minute. That city's called France. I know that. There's more than one. It's A Tale of Two Cities.
Okay. So,
sorry, this is
another word for pope?
I'm going to kill you. I'm going to murder you.
Anyway, yes, I know that there are two living popes right now. The evil one retired, and the good one took his place. The good one's still not that great, but he's good for a pope.
There is a new pope and old pope. Old pope wrote a letter today. He wrote a letter at some point. It wasn't today, but he wrote this really long letter, explaining the current pedophilia crisis in the church.
Yes.
I suggest everyone read it because it is a very interesting letter on like church history and like church policy, the way they train their priests and stuff. But
Look, can we just forget about the Gorgamax for a second? Forget about the Gorgamax! Our women have vaginas that are 15 feet tall and full of razor sharp teeth. How are we supposed to have sex with that?
so he says
That's from a
and
South
this-
Park episode where they discussed the pedophilia problem with the Catholic Church, and they came to the conclusion that the problem stems from the Queen Spider. The Queen Spider!
Well, they so what he does is he and it's like I said, read it. It's really well written, but like the problem that I have is he blames the sexual revolution of like 1968 for the current crisis in the church and for the permissiveness of pedophilia.
He thinks that hippies that fundamentally reject his orthodoxy and orthodoxy in general are the problems with the Orthodox continuing to bone down on children.
Right, and he says, "quote," and I assume all popes are
That's
Italian,
like
so this is
that's like Nazis saying, "Well, we're trying to kill the Jews, but the Jews keep trying to stay alive, and that's the reason why we have to kill Jews." It's like, what?
So all my pope quotes are going to be in my bad Italian accent. All right, okay.
All my popa ladies.
Among the freedoms that the revolution of 1968 sought to fight. Fuck that accent. All right. Among the freedoms that the revolution of 1968 sought to fight for was this all-out sexual freedom, one which no longer conceded any norms. I disagree with that. I think that linking the sexual freedom of the 60s with like, oh, there are no norms now. We can fuck kids. No one's saying that. Like, nobody. I googled it.
Benedict the 16th is.
Well, I googled it, and I don't. As far as I can find, nobody said pedophilia at any point in modern United States history was allowed or appropriate.
Right, and also, what does one small thing happening in one part of the world at one point in time, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, have to do with what the Catholics are doing across the entire globe today?
Follow his math here. That led to changes in the church, I guess, allowing more permissiveness, and then allowing gay priests, and then somehow he does some math saying gay priest equals pedophilia.
Oh, he's one of those assholes that think that gay equals pedophilia. That was also an idea that they had in the 1960s. That's why they used to stone gay people to death, because they thought that if you were gay, you necessarily fucked children.
Right.
That's the kind of conflating two different things that they still actually try to do today with people saying, well, if you're going to fuck men, why don't you try to marry a lamp or a dog? It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's kind of his thing. It's like I said, I suggest reading the whole thing. It's very interesting about it's an interesting thing about church stuff. But I talked to a friend, and a friend was like, "Oh, I think you might be taking it out of context." And I was like, "All right." And I read it, and I go, "Nope." He's doing some fancy footwork to try to like say, "Oh, the church was changed because of the 1960s and the sexual permissiveness, and of course that led to pedophilia."
The hippies somehow enabled the gays to exist, which enabled the priests to fuck children. That's like the 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon if there's like no real connections between it. It's like, well, Peter, you know that I exist and Freddie Mercury exists, and so Freddie Mercury, because of him, The Price is Right currently has Drew Carey. Wait, what? No, follow me here. And Drew Carey was once on a show with a lady named Mimi, whose name is spelled the same as meme, which is an internet thing, and pedophiles use the internet sometimes. That's the reason why there's hippies. Okay? All right, we got this.
Well, a lot
sorted.
of it,
sorted.
A lot of it is just like...
Wait, I forgot what I was trying to link here.
Yeah, exactly. The fucking Pope to Kevin Bacon. The problem was that like the church was unequipped to deal with, they were unequipped to deal with the scandal, and like they didn't know what to do, and blah blah blah. But the point was like, it doesn't matter what kind of problems the church was having. What matters is that you protected, aided, and abetted known pedophiles who were preying on children. And you can't be like, well, the 60s made it okay. Fuck you, dude. I know.
He's just trying to buttery Mel's the way that they used to in the 60s, which was they used to say, but the hippies!
I know a ton of people that lived through the 60s, and most of them never fucked children.
Yeah,
I'd like to
the
say
vast majority.
I'd like to say all of them, but I don't know their dark history. So, but the point is, yeah, man, come on, like, and I guess because the current Pope, Pope Francis, I guess, is on he's like, this was wrong and fucked up, and then this guy's like, I'm gonna come out and is like, you're the old Pope, go away. I think that we need a new rule. The new rule is if there's two living popes, one pope has to eat the other.
Like a Black Widow spider.
Yeah, or like Highlander, there can be only one. So if there are two popes, they have to sword fight until there's only one left, and then the other pope absorbs the other pope's power.
I'm okay with that because I'm pretty sure Pope Francis is more physically fit than than the old Pope. So
Yeah,
I
well,
think he would win.
old pope's like 91. Also, why are we listening to a 91-year-old former pope? Fuck him.
I mean, he's not too much older than the current sitting president of the U.S., who also has such ancient ideas in his head and is making decisions based on them, policy decisions that affect your life and mine.
Yeah, so that's the Pope news.
That's my segue to the administration.
Well, do you want to get into some anti-Semite news, some more global before we come back to the old good old USA?
Yeah, okay. I'll come up with another segue.
German. So we talked a little bit about this. German industrial rock band Rammstein has gotten in trouble for their new music video, which features images of them as Holocaust detainees with nooses around their necks. An Israeli official has described it as shameful and uncalled for. It's a 9-minute long.
I don't care what fucking Israel has to say about anything.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of at that point with the country of Israel too. But it's called Deutschland, and it's a really interesting song.
They can take their sixth consecutive term of Netanyahu and shove it.
Yeah, but what's interesting, you watch the video, and yeah, there's concentration camp imagery. But he's had the whole song is about like, and I found this very interesting as a Southerner. How do you square a really horrible like if your heritage, like if you're born in Germany after World War II, or if you're born in the South, like after the Civil War, and you have family that like was part of the slave culture, like they own people. If you have family that were former Nazis, like how do you square that? Like that's really interesting. And the whole song is kind of about like German history, and like it's kind of a like I want to be proud of Germany, but I want to damn you. Like it's this whole like what do I do, right? And so yeah, I think people that are like Nazis, it's like you're jumping the bandwagon. There's actually a pretty interesting music video on like what people living in Germany have to live through now. Also, if you know anything about Rammstein, everything they do is fucking shocking, dark, and hardcore. Like, which video was it that when we were high schoolers, there was a music video where like he's getting a blowjob from an angel while ripping its feathers out?
I probably could have told you back when I was 14 or whatever that was, but I do not recall it today.
Yeah, they're use pretty shocking imagery, but like yeah, I think that
and I'm pretty sure, since you mentioned it, I'm pretty sure that we have a pretty bad delay between the two of us of at least a couple seconds.
It's very possible. We're going to be able to fix that in post.
Who knows? I mean, I'll try.
Who knows?
I'll do my best.
Fuck it. We're just, just fucking tooling along here. All right.
Those lag rakers.
Yeah,
I can segue this.
Okay.
Speaking of Rammstein and trying to come to terms with Germany's pretty bad history. I have a friend who came from Germany like not too terribly long after Hitler's reign, and he moved to America. And everyone here in America is like, "Oh, you came from Germany, did you? You must be a Nazi boy. You must be a Nazi. You came from Germany." And he's always like, "God damn it!" Ugh.
Hey,
you can probably guess who this is.
I know you're talking about. Yeah, no, he was born a long time after Hitler's reign, and it was the fucking 80s. That's
it was. Yeah, but he came over here at a perfect time in which people still remembered Germany, mostly for Hitler. That had been 40 years before that, right?
Yeah, I mean that's still what they're
30 years.
That's still what they're remembered for.
But it was more remembered back then than 30 years later. But anyway, point being is that now he's living in a country that has Trump, and if he moves anywhere else, they're going to be like, "Oh, you came from that Trump country," and he's like, "God damn it, not again."
So he just basically moves. He moves to like dictator after dictator country, going, "God damn it."
Yeah. So the next place he goes to, they're going to be like, "Oh, I know where you came from. I know what your value system is. You want to kill all the Mexicans now and block them out of your country."
Well, I'll tell you something interesting, man.
Which segues us into apparently they're putting down the the what do you call it? The veil of, oh, we're doing this for this reason or that reason. Now they're basically just saying, no, we just fucking hate Mexicans and we're going to do everything we can to block them from ever entering our country. The pretenses are falling away. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, the whole thing about immigration is, historically, immigration is a really good thing to get people stirred up about. Also, like, my whole thing is...
Because it's the fear of the unknown. Mm-hmm. It's a primal instinct. It's a very base fear that demagogues can always play to. It's they're playing to people's worst instincts, and it's very easy to whip them up into a frenzy over it.
I say treat it like an actual humanitarian crisis, and like get some actual like aid and processing and stuff in there. There's actually a really cool news story tying in with immigration where, and I'm sad it was blocked. So the White House proposed releasing detained immigrants in sanctuary cities.
Right.
And I was like, fuck yeah, man, that's fucking metal as fuck. Like, put your money where your mouth is, right? Because here's the thing, is like, as much as I'm disgusted with the right, there are also elements of the left I'm disgusted with, because I don't think that a lot of people are as pro-immigrant as they say they are.
Well, I don't think a lot of people care as much. Like, we were talking earlier how people seem to be... they have like the new thing to be mad about of the week, and so they're just going from being mad at one thing Trump does to the next, and they treat the small things just as importantly as the big things. And we actually did have a very fucking big and scary thing happen this week that people are not focused on enough. But yeah, I think a lot of people that don't really care about immigration are just being mad about that because Trump's doing it instead of actually caring about other human beings like we do.
Well, here's what's, and I actually took a step back from this, but here's what's fascinating about this whole thing. It's not just Trump. It's the way that Trump and social media and everything have converged at the same time. Outrage, rage, and anger is fucking addicting.
Yeah. Even Penn Jillette was lamenting that so many of his friends, it's difficult for him to talk to them right now because he just wants to preach love, and they're not in the mood to preach love. They're addicted to anger, is how he described it, and that's why he left Facebook for good.
I think that, and I could be wrong, but I think it was a Martin Luther King quote.
And I mean, I personally, I do my best to never pay attention to Facebook, but I do go to the, I do like tab to Facebook because we have like our little chat group going on there. So sometimes, like whatever the first post is, I'll see that just because it's sitting there the whole time I'm chatting in the little chat box down on the bottom right.
Well, Martin Luther King, I believe, was
otherwise...
Martin Luther King had a great quote that he said that like, only love can drive out hate. Hate cannot drive out hate, just like darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only the light can drive. And I'm like, yeah, like, and I think as we've become like really into two armed camps, I feel like we go online and we get our daily outrage and our daily hate, and we're like, ooh, these fucking people.
You know, speaking of, and also speaking of Penn, and speaking of Martin Luther King, someone did a study looking at all the major violent revolutions throughout history and all the non-violent revolutions throughout history. And violent revolutions are successful in changing the nation that they take place in about 1 in 4 times, so about 25% of the time. Yeah. Non-violent revolutions tend to work about 2/3 of the time, about 66% of the time.
Yeah, so because
his argument is that if you really, really hate someone, even if you want to destroy them, you should still go about destroying them non-violently because you're far more likely to succeed statistically.
Yeah, because the thing is,
you got to remember that these days we have elements that.
Well,
I mean,
like
once
a 5-10
second delay now. This is rough.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say. Just you got to keep in mind that these days we have elements that we've never had before, which is Fox News trying to paint peaceful revolutions as being violent revolutions. Fox News will brainwash their followers into thinking that Black Lives Matter are violent revolutionaries, that Antifa are violent revolutionaries. And what they'll do is they'll take one isolated incident that one crazy person did and say, see, this is what everybody does. And like the Black Lives Matter tape of just a few of them marching and saying pigs in blankets, fry 'em like bacon, that happened one time ever out of hundreds or thousands of marches, one time at one place ever. A bunch of people who were not directly related to any sort of the central core of BLM decided to march and chant that, and now Fox News has their permanent rule to play every single time any Black Lives Matter news is happening. They always play that. That way people will forevermore believe that Black Lives Matter is anti-cop.
Yeah,
And that
well,
way they get people to chant Blue Lives Matter and think that they mean it.
I'm anti-cop in the way that I'm anti, like, the militarization of the police. Like, there wasn't a bigger argument, like, when that guy, and I can't remember all the details of his name, but, like, I think I've sent you the video. There was a guy staying in a hotel room. I think he was an exterminator, and this was right after the shooting in Las Vegas. And so they called the cops. They go, I think someone's in the room with a gun. So the cops, like, roll up, SWAT, ready to go. And he was a white guy, and he comes out of his room, and they're like screaming, like confusing directions at him, and like he's on the ground, unarmed, with his hands out, and they're like, "Crawl towards me," and like, "Keep your hands behind your back," and blah blah blah. And then they just fucking murdered him. Then they just shot him, right? So the bigger problem is not like it's the militarization of police. It's like police getting military hardware. It's the lack of training for cops. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
those are the bigger issues that no one's
earlier I
about.
said. Now, earlier I said that the pretense is falling away, the veil is falling away, and something really scary happened this week. And then I proceeded to never actually say what that story was. The story is that the Feckless Ghoul Stephen Miller is now in charge of all U.S. immigration policies. Kristen Nielsen is out as the immigration director, allowing the monstrosity Stephen Miller to rise and spread terror, torture, and oppression.
Well, I got to say, Stephen Miller's rise to power was kind of like watching Darth Vader happen in that shitty Star Wars movie where you go, oh, this is lame. I mean, this is really bad for everybody in this universe, but it's really lame.
Yeah, pretty much. So at the present, this really is a skeleton crew administration. I don't think people realize that Trump just does not have people working anywhere. Like, he has a few, temporary officials that are like standing in until we can get an official one, but he's in no hurry to have official people. Like, we have no Homeland Security director, no Secret Service director, no ICE director, no Secretary of Defense, no Air Force Secretary, no FEMA director, no Secretary of the Interior, no U.S. ambassador, and no White House chief of staff. We are lacking the fundamental core of what could keep us safe and functional as a nation, and so this increases the likelihood that we're going to see a terrorist attack like 1,000-fold, which is why I was really hoping that we could impeach this orange bastard before he encouraged a terrorist attack to happen, which would galvanize the base behind him, which would allow him to win again in 2020, because he'll use fear-mongering to slither his way on through. But it's fear-mongering from an event that he caused, because when Americans die, the Republicans win. That's always how it's been since 9/11.
I was talking about Islamophobia the other day, and I go, but if you look at the vast majority of terror attacks in the United States, they've been done by white dudes. Why isn't there white dudeophobia?
Why can't the white people come out and talk to their communities and explain that we just don't shoot people in churches, we don't shoot people in mosques, we don't bomb churches, we don't shoot up schools, we shouldn't do that. Okay, Peter, have you talked to at least 10 other white people in your white person community?
I guess I feel the same way about like domestic terrorists as I feel about.
But I just wanted to, do the rubber ball back. Like,
I feel the same way I feel about rich people. It's like, man, you're being a terrorist, but you're being real boring about it. Like, that's probably a terrible thing to say, but I'm like, you're gonna do something horrible, at least do it like the Joker. You know what I mean? Like,
at least do it like gathering 100 people on an island and have them all kill each other for your amusement.
Do it
while feeding yourself grapes. I mean, while having my servant Mandingo feed me grapes.
Do it like Bane. Trap all the cops in a sewer. I don't know, man. But yeah, like the biggest threat is
your police officers are in my sewer. I don't have a rest of the where for that to go.
But yeah,
I just like doing my Bane voice.
Yeah, the biggest threat. You
have my permission to die.
I feel like your Bane is exactly like your Queen, which is it's like you've got the Queen and you've got Bernie Sanders, and he's like, "Oh, Batman, you have my permission to die because you're a billionaire."
Because you're a billionaire and a millionaire.
Yeah, no, I mean
I am the knight.
The greatest threat is internal, and we used to keep tabs on these groups, but now we don't, because 9/11 happened, and when 9/11 happened, all the resources went to international terrorism, and international terrorism is still a problem, but also the internal divisions. Like, we got to do something about, like, I've taken a step back from social media. Like, I don't fight with people online anymore. I don't argue with them. Because I keep seeing a lot of comments like, man, these people, fucking idiots. And I'm like, we're all the same. Like, we're all people, right? Like, there's no us and them. Like, that's dumb.
I'm Batman. I'm Captain Batman.
Except for Captain Batman.
I'm just gonna stand here and do my superhero pose, Captain Batman. Fuck yeah.
Captain Batman.
Representing Captain Batman.
Well, in final news here, I have an article. Apparently, there's a bunch of jobs that are about to go away because of mechanization.
Oh, this could be Pete's That's Cute News.
This is my That's Cute News.
All right, hit us with the That's Cute News for the week.
They did a study about which jobs are most likely to go away, and it's kind of surprising. Number one on the list is fucking lawyers.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. That's like one of two jobs you actually need to go to college for.
AI can help perform tasks ranging from legal discovery to creating contracts. They can even argue parking fines and handle divorce proceedings, which I'm all for. I want to get married just to get a divorce with a robot lawyer.
Interesting. I do have like 5 other things I wanted to do.
Is it true? Are you polyamorous? Fuck you, you intolerant robot lawyer. I mean,
does not compute.
All the other stuff is shit you would think of, like data analysis. Yeah. Apparently, chefs are going to go away, which is interesting.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss the personal... Oh, no, I was about to say I'm going to miss the personal touch, but then I thought, well, the personal touch tends to be that, like, they're mad at you, so they spit in your food.
Yeah, I was
a
going to say
robot probably wouldn't do that.
The personal touch has also personally touched its balls, so...
Yeah.
Although it would be kind of funny if the robots are like, I spit in your food, I touched my robot balls, and put them in your salad. Beep boop.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Can I have sex with you, robot? Yes. Excellent. So the terrifying thing that happened this week is that Trump does seem to be doing a purge right now of all personnel that will not swear loyalty to him. He fired the Secret Service director right after the Secret Service busted a Chinese operative at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. Well, I've wondered, I have always wondered, if you're a Secret Service agent, right, and you have a president that just fucking sucks and you hate him, like, how willing are you to do your job versus, like, someone goes to pull a gun and you go, oh no, stop, but you're not really moving towards him. Don't shoot him. That would be terrible.
I mean, could you imagine if you're in that position and someone draws a gun on the president and you're like, oh, please just shoot him before I have a chance to jump in front of him. Oh no, I need to. Oh, don't nobody move. I dropped my contacts. We better not charge in front of him.
You're just like, you're just whispering out of the side of your mouth, a little to the left.
If you shoot him there, you'll hit his ketchup packets. It won't. His cheeseburger's in the other pocket. You got to be really careful. He has like huge lumps of fat inside of him.
But
it'll protect him.
Firing people, not replacing them, is concerning.
Yeah. Oh, so with the firing of Nielsen Tex and what's this V word? Vidi Elio? I don't know. We're seeing Trump begin to purge all non-lackeys from his administration. This is something I wrote down so I can just sort of sing-song it.
That's what's confusing is they are lackeys, though. They're all lackeys.
They weren't lackeys enough, right? They were like a 9 on the lackey scale. He's looking for a 15 out of 10.
If it makes you feel better, I'm really sad, but apparently the Herman Cain hurricane...
Yes, he's coming back!
Shucky ducky. Maybe not.
Oh, shucky ducky!
Probably not going to come back.
Oh no, did Trump see him and realize he's black?
No. Trump's fine with tokenism. Trump loves to be like, this is my black friend, I'm not racist.
He literally did that, by the way. There was one rally back during the campaign where he's like, where's my black friend? There's my African American. There's my African American. And he pointed a guy out, an ocean of white people, and there's one black guy, and Trump pointed at him and said, there's my African American.
Well, they were gonna...
That fucking happened. Look it up.
He was gonna appoint him to the Federal Reserve, but now even Republicans are opposing his candidacy. 4 Republicans, so it's enough to kill it.
That's the other thing is like the Republicans used to stick their neck out for Trump for these different picks for his administration. They're not doing it anymore because a lot of the cameras are off of that now.
Yeah.
So and plus he burned all of his goodwill with them. Like they fucking hate him, make no mistake. So they're just not doing him any favors anymore. They're done trying to fight for him.
Well, they're saying
until it becomes a hot button issue. If everyone's paying attention, then they'll do it because then they have to because then their voters will vote against them.
well they're
If they're all
arguing
like, he ain't helping Trump, get him.
well they're arguing that they said his showmanship doesn't bother me, so they don't mind the shucky ducky. They think his business experience is great, so they'd love the Federal Reserve to go to, what was it, 999?
999.
Yeah, but they say they think
life is just like Herman Cain. 99. Shucky ducky.
They think that
Shucky ducky tails. Woo! Go ahead.
They think that a character still matters. They're like, I think the sexual misconduct thing is wrong, which is really weird because they've been super fucking.
What about Roy Moore?
What about
admitted pedophile, like mass pedophile Roy Moore, which they were all for. They're all for Roy Moore.
You know, I could be wrong here, but you know, Romney was one of the first ones to come out against him. Romney seems like he might be gearing up for another presidential run.
I would fucking welcome Romney with open arms.
You know, I hate that, but yeah, I might be like, Romney, bring it in. Come on, buddy.
It was Penn Jillette said, you know, I deeply disagreed with Obama on so many different issues. And today, I can't remember what any of those issues were.
No, he's doing a lot of Mitt Romney is really interesting right now because like he's doing a lot of like being the Republican that I think most Republicans should be. And I guess is it because he's in Utah and like he's not as tied to Trump's base as other Republicans? I wonder if that's why.
Could be. I don't know if the Mormons are for Trump. If they're not, then he could definitely just work against Trump all he wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting, but I was sad. I was like, no, give me my Herman Cain. If we're gonna do this, I gotta have some Herman Cain. But no, he's probably not gonna get it.
That's too bad. Well, I have two other bits, very quick though. One is just going back to the ghoulish Stephen Miller news. Stephen Miller has talked Trump into using the new tagline, America is full, for his policy with Mexicans. Trump says, anytime the Mexicans come to the border, you just turn them away. The judges will say you're supposed to let them in if they're seeking asylum. I say maybe we should get rid of judges. Okay, maybe that's what we need to do. But you tell them, even if the judge tells you to let them in, you tell them, no, I'm sorry, our country is full. Our country's full, folks. We can't have any more. America's full. That's our new actual policy towards immigration now. It's fucking awful.
I don't even care.
Trump is once again acting like a dictator by ignoring other co-equal branches of government, such as the judicial branch.
I don't even care about the fucking stupid line, the country's full. What I do care about is...
I actually like that line because it's so easy to argue against. You can say, come the fuck on, you know it's not full.
You ever been to Kansas? It ain't fucking full. But no, my argument is that ignoring co-equal branches of government is dangerous. And I've always said the most dangerous thing happening that no one seems to give a shit about is since even before Bush, just the expansion of executive power just over and over again, and it just keeps growing and growing. And I go, that you need to trim these hedges back, man. Also, I've said it before, fix the immigration system. Like, get a fucking system where people come in and work for real wages, registered, you know, with like a temporary fucking immigration pass or whatever. You keep tabs on them. They come in, they do the jobs, they get paid, they pay taxes, and then they can fucking go home. Like, that doesn't seem that difficult, does it?
No, it's not hard. It's what happened a lot of the time because they always did pay taxes, pay into Social Security. They paid their dues while, you know, making those very, very criminally low wages that only they would accept. No American would ever accept.
Exactly, which is why we need to fix that wage system.
So everything basically was in place for that to happen, and then Trump comes in and fucks everyone up. And he's only badly hurting everyone, right? He's not actually helping anybody. Another problem I have with him.
If you fix the system and I can come in, I can do my work, make my money, and then go back and support my family in Guatemala or wherever. Like, that's much preferable to what we're doing right now.
And again, this doesn't help anyone. This isn't helping a single American. And in fact, all those people in flyover country that are all like, Trump's going to help us. No, we're actually seeing their jobs die so much faster directly because of his stupid fucking tariff policies. He's hurting the people that voted for him the most, actually, the most. Like, the people that are the least affected by Trump are the liberals that voted against him.
You know what would be
They're
really
the ones
great?
that are the most insulated from him.
Why don't maybe we could automate the job of president? Like, wouldn't that be great if we just had like a robot president, just like an AI?
I'm for that. I'm for it. That's actually part of the plot of Metal Gear Solid 2 is that they find out that the president's actually a computer program. The Guns of the Patriot and the Sons of the Patriots.
Is it a bad computer program? Because I'd be kind of cool with like the fucking, robot being like, our union is strong. I have reconfigured many of the laws. Things are better now. Good luck and good night.
Whether it's bad or not is more of a philosophical question that's discussed over the course of a whole bunch of different games. So, it does a lot of stuff that you can consider fucked up, like it's automated war. All the soldiers have, like, nanobots in them that suppress their ability to feel scared or whatever. So now they just act as cohesive units because they have computers in their brain telling them to coordinate. It's like, now you go over here, now you go over here. War's been standardized. You have skirmishes here, there, and everywhere. This maintains the status quo.
If you have a robot president, do you even need the status quo?
It decided that it did. I don't know if it's required, but it's deciding to do this regardless of whether it's needed or not.
Like, I think that if we have maybe a robot Supreme Court and a robot president, like, I'd be cool with that.
Robot Supreme Court probably raped a lot fewer people than our current Supreme Court.
Possibly. Or maybe it...
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. You always got to say allegedly. But yeah.
We don't say allegedly enough on this show, I just realized.
God, we're probably open to so many fucking libel laws, like, whenever anybody else listens to this podcast.
Those allegedly rakers, we'll just go ahead and do that to, like, defend ourselves.
If I ever go to court, hopefully I can get a robot lawyer.
Yep.
Although,
Robot Pete.
I feel like I would go to court just for the robot lawyer meeting with me to go, you are fucked. You have broken so many laws. According to my calculations, you will spend 3 life sentences in prison.
Mercy?
No.
Processing. Mercy. Processing. Mercy denied.
Damn it! But yeah, fucking robot lawyers, that would be super sweet.
Yeah. Okay. One last thing. So the deadline for releasing Trump's taxes came and went because they finally, after 10,000 years, subpoenaed, or they have not subpoenaed them yet. They requested Trump's taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can finally get to see his tax returns and see how broke he is and how many foreign dictators he owes money to.
Right.
And Mnuchin is the person who's responsible for releasing them, and he has said that he refuses. And instead, he's going to run them by Barr in the Justice Department. You know, the guy we already know sold out our country for the orange toter.
Do you think that Barr is just going, stop bringing me this stuff? I don't want it. You are fucking Bob Barr right now. Because I don't know a lot about Bob Barr, but I do feel like he talks in the third person. Like all people named Bob do. You know, Bob Barr doesn't like this. Bob Barr is already sitting on enough documents.
Bob Barr don't like that. Yeah, Bob Barr is the one who's currently hiding the Mueller report, and you know he's going to redact it to the point in which you can't see any of Trump's crimes.
Where do you think he's hiding it? You think it's under his mattress?
Straight up his ass.
Can we just go in and get it? Oh, well, yeah.
That would be nice.
It's a big document. If it's up his ass, he's going to be really mad when he also has to shove 15 years of Trump's tax reports up there. There's no more. Do you understand a human anal cavity? It's only so elastic. I can't put any more documents up here. Get yourself another attorney general.
Yep. So, you know what Mnuchin did is actually against the law, and Congress could have him arrested for refusing to do what Congress told him to.
Yeah, because they fucking subpoenaed him. Yeah, fucking. I'll be interested to see how that goes.
They did subpoena him. That did happen.
No,
that'd be a new development. I knew that was like a thing that they could do.
No, I thought they subpoenaed them. I guess not, but maybe a subpoena.
No, they have not officially subpoenaed them yet. They just requested them. They can subpoena them, but even the request is
law,
a thing that can put him in jail if he refuses it. It's like contempt of Congress or whatever it's called.
It's like when I was a kid, my dad would be like, "So it sounds like I'm asking you nicely, but what it actually is me telling you in a nice way to do this thing."
exactly. That's what's going on here. And they need to stop giving Trump's people, the good faith benefit of the doubt. We know that Mnuchin's just trying to stall for time. Trump is never going to want his tax returns released. The Justice Department exists only as a weaponized justice for Trump's favor. It's only there to defend him. It is not there to help America at all.
They just recently arrested Julian Assange, which is kind of
that's the other bit of news. I forgot about that. I sort of skimmed over it.
It's a little bit dangerous because they're trying to get him. I'm trying to remember the exact term, but the idea is that he didn't actually do any of the hacking. He released the materials. So the precedent sets if they can arrest him for basically releasing the materials as a journalist. It's dangerous for other journalists because anytime anybody hands a journalist a stack of this is the briefcase with the report that no one's supposed to see, you could technically arrest that journalist. So it is kind of dangerous for that. Although I think
he was already kind of in jail. Just he had access to a computer. Is the only difference. Otherwise, he has to live at that stupid. Did you see what he looked like when they drug him out? Those years have been hard on him.
He looked like your dad.
He was so young just a few years ago, the last time we got a picture of him. Yeah. These years have been kicking the shit out of him.
Well, because you've been living in the Ecuadorian embassy for fucking 7 years. You know how boring that must be?
Yeah, it's hell. It's barely a step above actual prison.
But the idea is it's worrisome that they finally we're going to get him now. Because
what I'm worried about, it was America that arrested him, right?
No, it was in London, I believe, and so there's arguments about
it was in London, but I thought they were going to extradite him to America.
There's arguments about where he's going to be sent to, about whether he's going to be sent to Sweden or sent to America, or just maybe fall down on some bullets on the way there.
Here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried they're going to send him to America because Trump will pardon him as soon as he gets here.
Well, if he does, and Julian Assange ever listens to our podcast, I would like to make this request. Can you please release all of Trump's documents? Just all the stuff. Just make a book.
He's not. WikiLeaks lies when they say we're for transparency. Yeah. They're for releasing just enough info to make you hate whatever party Putin currently hates, which right now is the Democrats. They are a propaganda branch of Russia. Yeah. All they want to do is fuck with America. They want to do whatever they can to destabilize America.
Exactly.
And right now, what destabilizes America is propping up Trump and attacking the Democrats.
Because they're not. Because they're not releasing any Russian communiques. You know what I mean? They're not releasing anybody else's stuff.
Right. So they are not for releasing information. That is a bullshit line that they feed to trick gullible people. And I used to be one of those gullible people who just sort of took them at their word that they were for openness, honesty, transparency. I didn't, but over time I saw, wait a minute, there's a trend to what type of openness they're up for, what type of information they release here, isn't there?
Processing, honesty and transparency. Processing. Honesty.
For transparency not found.
Honesty denied. Sons of bitches. Well, we'll see what happens with that. But man, I just like a good show. I want to see them tax returns, baby. I want to see that Mueller report. Come on, give it to me. This is my Netflix. I want to binge. I want to binge read.
Yes, I actually will read the Mueller report if it comes out. Oh, that's going to be a boring weekend. Oh my God, I just realized.
That's true.
That's going to be a really boring weekend. But I want to see the full unredacted Mueller report.
I'm going to ask you to highlight, copy, and paste the stuff I need to read because you're going to be my robot lawyer.
Processing. Now loading, crashing, process.
I want you to
loading, crashing, process, crashing, shutting down.
She sells gay frogs by the gay shore.